In this video, I want to talk about why strategy so often dies after the retreat, even when the conversation felt honest and the clarity felt real. When strategy dies after the retreat, the retreat ends on a high. The conversations were honest, the priorities finally felt clear. Hard truths were named, hope returned to the room, people left saying, that's exactly what we needed. For a few days, maybe even a few weeks, it felt true. Then real life resumed. Emails piled up, urgent issues reclaimed the calendar. These old patterns quietly reasserted themselves. The plan that felt alive at the retreat began to feel distant again. Not wrong, just unattended. This is where most strategies die. Why retreats feel productive and change still doesn't happen. Leadership teams often mistake intensity for durability. A retreat creates focus by removing distraction. It compresses conversation into a contained space. It gives people permission to think clearly without interruption. That clarity is real. What is not real is the assumption that the clarity will survive without support once everyone goes home. Because strategy doesn't die from bad thinking, it dies from neglect. Not intentional neglect, structural neglect. No one stays with the work once it leaves the room. The hidden lie leaders tell themselves. Most leaders leave a retreat believing some version of this. We're aligned now. We just need to execute. What they're really saying is we're about to ask this strategy to compete with reality on its own. Reality always wins. Not because the strategy is flawed, but because it has no defender when pressure returns. No one holding the thread when decisions get messy. No one helping the team choose the strategy when urgency offers an easier alternative. The retreat creates clarity, but clarity without accompaniment is fragile. Why follow-through is not a will problem. When strategy stalls, leaders often respond with tools. More check-ins, more dashboards, more accountability language, more reminders of what was decided. These things look like leadership. They feel responsible. They almost never solve the real issue, though, because the problem is not that people forgot the strategy. The problem is no one stays present to help the strategy live. Strategy doesn't implement itself. Alignment does not sustain itself. Ownership does not deepen on its own. They require attention over time. The space where strategy actually lives. Strategy does not live in the offsites. It lives in the meeting where something urgent threatens to derail it. It lives in the moment where capacity runs thin. It lives in the decision that feels small but signals direction. It lives in the conversation someone avoids because it feels uncomfortable. This is the work between meetings. This is the work no one is assigned to hold. And this is where most leaders are left alone. Why does strategy need a staying presence? When no one stays with the strategy, leaders begin compensating. They remind, they nudge, they translate, they hold the big picture while everyone else focuses on their piece. Over time, the leader becomes the strategy. And that is unsustainable. Strategy needs a presence that is not consumed by operations, someone who notices drift early, someone who helps leaders return to the work before it collapses into intention. This is not about oversight, it's about accompaniment. And this is where leaders hire me. I'm not interested in facilitating a retreat and moving on. I stay with leaders after the room empties, when the plan meets resistance, when alignment starts to fray, when decisions get heavy, when the work begins to cost something. This is where strategy either becomes embodied or quietly abandoned. My work is to remain present in that space to help leaders like you keep choosing the strategy when it would be easier not to. To translate clarity into lived rhythm over time. That's not a one-off engagement. It's a partnership. The decisions leaders eventually face is this. Every leadership team faces a choice. Whether they name it or not, either you keep holding retreats that feel good and change little, or you invest in staying with the work long enough for it to take root. One costs less up front. The other actually works. If your strategy keeps stalling, if your organization has had great conversations and disappointing follow-through, stop blaming execution. Nothing is wrong with your intelligence. Nothing's wrong with your people. The work simply has no one staying with it. That's what I do. If this name's something you're already carrying, you don't have to rush past it. Let it stay with you. And when you're ready, I'm here. Book a clarity call at theacuitylab.com or subscribe to the Art of Witness newsletter over on LinkedIn.